that I'm sure will be in the show at some point. And that was it. I found one tin can that was used, and that thing I made so much. I still have it today. It's in my living room right now. And I use that thing a lot for making fire and for holding things, but primarily I used it for scooping up ash for putting my fire to bed every evening. When I'd get a good fire going, I'd kind of bury it in ashes and let it smolder through the night, and then bring it back to life in the morning instead of doing another bow drill. So I talked a little bit about going out in nature expecting a fight and expecting to win that fight. And I hope that rings true, that nature is not evil. Nature is not out to get you. Nature just is. And your mind can be all those things, though. Your mind is going to reflect, only the things that you already have preconceived notions about. If you go into nature thinking that it's bad, that you're going to go out there and fight it, yeah, right. You're going to get your ass handed to you. And that's the wrong mindset to go into. I went in there wanting to sink into the experience like it was a hot bath, like I was going to be on vacation. I knew it was going to be a lot of work. I knew it was going to be a big challenge, but I also knew it was going to be an experience with a lot of freedom in it. I was going to go out there and be Nathan Donnelly. I was going to do what I knew needed to be done. And if you haven't been able to be in that experience where you're living on your wits and off of the work that you've done in the past to develop yourself, it makes the modern world seem pretty constrictive when you're going off of somebody else's rules, or this is how it's done, when you know otherwise, when you know better. You get to live the life that you know better. And even though it might be hard and rugged, for me, I was looking at it as a vacation. And there was one moment, about 10 or 15 seconds long, just before we're getting the briefing from the helicopter pilot of, how to approach a helicopter so it doesn't chop your head off and all this stuff. And that's kind of the moment where we're like, whoa, this is it. This is it. And there was a 10 or 15 seconds where my blood ran cold in my mind. I'm thinking this, and I just probably turned blue. I went pale, I'm sure. But I caught myself, and I told myself, Nathan, you are about to get paid to go on the coolest camping trip of your life. And if things really go south, you got a rescue team who's going to come get you. And I just had to go that. The only thing I was actually going out there up against was myself. How disciplined am I going to be? What am I willing to put myself through? And when you think about it, there's no better challenger than yourself. How hard are you willing to push yourself? You are both sides of that equation. And nature really doesn't come into it so much. It's the harder it is out there, the harder it is for everybody else too. So it became one of my mantras out there: is every hardship was an opportunity, because everybody else is getting the same weather, and there's some variations and all that. But I had to see every hardship as an opportunity, and that became real important for me to remember throughout that. Let's see. I'll talk about that other stuff later. Cold hands. I've had in the past, into my 20s, Raynaud's disease, which means that when the weather gets cold, even only down into the 50s Fahrenheit, my fingers would turn white. The circulation in my hands would go bad, would stop. My body would sense that it's colder than it needs to be, or colder than it actually is, and your body, in order to save core body temperature, where your vital organs are and your brain are and all that, will shunt blood off to your extremities to keep it from being cooled down and bringing down your core body temperature. And for some of us, that thermostat is a little out of whack, and for me it had been in my childhood and in through my 20s. And I was not really well suited for cold weather. For some reason, my hands did amazing things out there. I felt them change at night. You'd get cold, your fingers would sting, and I think that was like kind of a shock to your nervous system, like, hey, you're in cold weather now, it's wintertime, you got to adapt. And I swear to God, I would feel at the end of the day, I don't know if you've ever had numb hands before and you put them under warm water and they just start to throb and hurt. My hands did that every night for weeks. And I swear to God, I feel like that was the sensation of my hands growing new capillaries, because I could do things in very cold weather that I know today I couldn't do, and I know before going out there I could not do. But I do believe that our bodies physiologically have the ability to change. I know our skin can do it. We can get tan from the sun. We can get calluses from hard work. And I believe that we're able to adapt to the cold quite a bit too. We have mitochondria in each one of our cells that produces heat for our body, and we're able to grow more mitochondria. And I don't know if that's what was happening in my hands or if my circulation improved or what, but it was pretty cool. My hands literally molted through that experience and turned into new hands that were adapted for the Arctic. I still had to wear mittens, all that stuff, but sometimes you got to take your hands out, clean that fish, work that net, do that thing, and it was pretty cool. Another part of that whole experience of going without very much food and relying on your body fat and going into ketosis, which is a metabolic state your body goes into and it's relying on body fat or fat in general, is you start to burn through the fat on your body, which is where all the toxins in your body are stored from the horrible environment that most modern people have to live in today, which is food that's got herbicides poured all over it, air that's polluted, water that's got stuff in it. All that's stored in our body on some level. And when you start burning into your fat reserves where all that is stored, it re-enters your bloodstream. And those first couple of weeks I was out there, I stank. You expect to go out camping, no showers, all that stuff. You expect you're going to stink. I definitely did. It's just like you would expect it. After about 2 weeks out, that stopped happening. I figured out a way to clean my clothing, which I'll talk about in another episode. I made my clothes clean. I made my body clean. And from that point on, I stopped having body odor. My body had detoxed. I was healthy. I had no inflammation. And I'll talk more about my gut health and other things that improved from my experience out there later. But I detoxed pretty heavily. And in those first couple of weeks, you feel like hell. After that, some kind of clarity comes, both from the detox and from going into ketosis. But it was a pretty marvelous experience. I am benefiting from it now. You can see now I'm a very strong, healthy man again. I do have a bad back right now, which is related to something in the show. I'm around to episode 3 or 4 I'll talk about later. But on the whole, I came out the other end a stronger, healthier person. And I think my 40s are actually going to be better than my 30s were, health-wise, because of it. So if you have any questions, again, mention them in the comments. I do teach survival skills. I teach the soft skills of survival, the mental head game of what it takes to go through long-term scenarios. I teach disaster preparedness, which there's a ton of overlap on. I'm really fascinated in survival psychology, which is why I started watching The Alone Show. I actually don't watch television otherwise. Feel free to message me or get a hold of me in some way if you would like to learn what it takes to be a nature-connected individual, or somebody who's hard to kill, or any of those things, or just like to reach out. I'd love to talk to people and, again, spread kind of my gospel of what it takes to be a real human, I guess. So, all of y'all, this is Nathan Donnelly with Northwest Resilience. Go out and be useful in the world, and I hope you're having a great life and have loved ones in it and able to see the good side of things. I'll talk to you later.